to Healthy Perspectives with Jeremiah, a podcast that brings you current social and cultural issues through a clinical lens. Hello. Welcome back. For those of you who are rejoining us, it's always good to have you. For those of you who are brand new, thank you so much for joining us. You're gonna, if you have been here a while, you're probably noticing there are some slight changes. I'm learning new things all the time. It's part of the growth process. It's what I expect from all of you, is that you would learn, grow, maybe get better over time, because I think that's a reasonable expectation. And that's why, in part, it's part of the reason why I do this podcast, is to help people learn, grow, and to do the growing and the learning on my own as well. And so you may be able to see me more clearly on YouTube and Rumble because I've got a new light. Hopefully that is going to help people to recognize me, to see me more clearly. And then of course, you'll probably be able to see my mannerisms better and stuff like that. So my hope is that that is something that shows up and helps you folks have a better experience. Today, I want to talk about, so you're not woke. The other day I posted a podcast that said, so you're woke. And I talked to all of my woke friends. But today I want to talk to you who are anti-woke or not woke, or whatever it is that you're calling it these days. And I say that not flippantly because I don't care, but because I do care. Our climate today has many of you, those of you that I'm talking to, those of you who are anti-woke or not woke or whatever that is, has you taking a stand against woke ideology, as I hear it. That's what I typically hear. Or some of you, would say, maybe you're blind to the fact that there's racism. Like maybe you're like, I'm not woke because I think racism doesn't exist. If either of these fit you, well, there is one more category, I should say. Like, you may be saying that you're not woke because you are racist. I'll address that too at the end. But I'm talking directly to all of you. All right. So I've got questions, just like I did on the other podcast, So You're Woke. I'm going to ask some questions of my anti-woke, non-woke, whatever, sleeping. I don't know what you want to call yourself. And again, I'm not saying that to mock you or make fun of you, but simply because it's an interesting concept to me that people would choose to be anti-woke. When I look back at what the history of being woke has been, it's pretty clear to me that woke is actually good. In some ways, and I'm not saying that because I agree with all this new woke ideology. I'm saying it because to be woke historically has meant you see and recognize racism and the impacts that it has on people. Well, I think that's a good thing. I'm glad there was a guy named, Abraham Lincoln, the first Republican in the country's history, who decided to write the Emancipation Proclamation and ultimately end slavery as we knew it. Now, that doesn't mean that racism died right along with it, but it ended slavery. And that's a good thing. So let's jump in. Question number one. This one's for all my friends and all of you out there who are taking a stand against woke ideology. This is not to those of you who subscribe to racism. I'm going to address that near the end. Do you want, for those of you who are taking a stand against woke ideology, do you want to be lumped in with racists? I mean, that is a really important question you should be asking yourself. being woke means you're anti-racist. That's what it means. That's what it historically has meant. Now, I know the ideology has twisted it nowadays, but that wouldn't be, for me, that wouldn't be a game stopper. I'm not going to say I'm not woke because I'm racist. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm going to say I am, maybe I'm woke when it comes to racism. I understand the plight that is our nation's history that set us up to deal with racism. And this is an unfortunate reality for people. Better than any other nation ever has, and yet still not very good much of the time. I'm not suggesting that you're racist, okay? So don't hear that. But there are social risks that in terms of claiming that you are woke, or that you are anti-woke, or that being woke is bad. There are social risks to all of them. It took a long, long time to shed much of what we see in our nation as racism, or have seen as racism. Slavery, like peeling back that onion, that was not easy for our nation to do. It cost lives. People died to get rid of racism. And I am glad that people died to get rid of it so that I could grow up with much, much less racism. Unfortunately, over the last few years, it seems that there might be an increase of racism going on in our culture. It's crawling back into our social networks. And that's not a good thing. That's just not a good thing. Question number 2. Do you think that racism is real? Let's assume for a moment that racism is real. Okay. And I'm saying that not to make it a lighthearted affair, but I want you to take the mindset, wherever you are, take the mindset that racism exists. If that is reality, the reality, failing to see it would make you delusional. Are you delusional? Purposely lying would make you untrustworthy. And ignoring the question would make you ignorant. Assume, we're going to switch gears. Assume for a moment that racism isn't real. That it's not what they're saying that it is. Shouldn't you empathize with people who can't see clearly? Why would you go this path of belittling, demeaning, hating people who can't see clearly? That doesn't relationally work either. I'm asking you these questions because I want you to think. Not because I want you to feel bad about, oh my gosh, I've been putting these people who are woke down, and no, that's not the point. The point is, I want you to think for yourself. Assess reality outside of your politics, outside of your town. Assess reality that we are dealing with as a culture. Number 3, what is it about being woke that concerns you the most? Now, this is my favorite section for today. I'm going to be honest, because woke around 2010 or thereabouts, it began to manifest in our culture differently. And it has taken on much more meaning than racism. It has breached into sexism, privilege, equity, equality. And if you don't know the difference between those, I'll get to that in just a second. Educational opportunity, gender ideology. All of these things have been lumped into woke. So I'm going to propose that whatever it is in there that's bothering you the most, don't get sucked in to the lumping of them together. Don't do it. If you do that, you contribute to the confusion that is this woke ideology. Break them apart. Deal with them individually. The lumping of them it's unhealthy. It's not a good idea, because each of these we could spend a lifetime working through and trying to help our world get better in just one of them. And if you try to lump them together, we are destined to fail as a culture. No, if you have energy on the racism piece, then put your energy into the racism piece. If you have it on the sexism, put it there. If you have it on privilege, put it there. If you have it on equality, put it there. Now let's define them all a little bit. Racism. It's any race accepting a role of superiority over another race. Any race. You could be black and racist. You could be white and racist. You could be brown and racist. You could be, Russian. And it's not racism. What is it? Yeah, look, we have to break apart these pieces of identity. You can be religiously, what's the word I'm looking for? You could be, if you are religious, you could hate other religions. If you are, from one particular location in the world, you could hate all other locations in the world. These are bad things. These are not healthy things. So what is sexism? It's the idea that one gender is superior to another gender. No, absolutely not. A man is not better than a woman. A woman is not better than a man. They have strengths and weaknesses. Now, okay, Jeremiah, what about this transgender thing? Are we talking about gender dysphoria? Gender dysphoria is a mental illness. If we're talking about that is somebody that we should love and care for as they are. That is not accepting their false reality, because that would be condoning and supporting illness. That's not okay. But that doesn't mean you don't love them and care about them. You absolutely should love them and care about them. Privilege. I've done podcasts on privilege. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but if privilege is your thing, learn what it means to have privilege, because the reality is we all have privilege of different types. Some of you are skinny, privilege. Some of you are strong, privilege. Some of you are men, privilege. Some of you are women, privilege. Some of you are tall, privilege. Short, privilege. Black, privilege. White, privilege. Like, you got to understand the argument. All right, we're going to move on to equality. Equality simply means treated the same. Equality in the law is a good concept. In every other way, it's dangerous. All right, I've done stuff on this. You can go back and listen. Equity. Equity is about fairness and justice. Equity is a good thing. We want to, help a short person get to the apple hanging from the tree. That's a good thing. So we give them a ladder that's taller than the other person. Okay, that makes sense. That's fair. Why? Because they're not as tall, right? We want somebody who is not as strong to be able to compete against people who are like them in strength, not who are massively stronger than them, because that would be an unfair competition. We're not taking people of like ways, like designs, and saying, let's have a real good competition. Part of the reason why we're having issues with men who are trans swimming with women, it's not a like kind. It's the design is totally different, and it's not fair. That's a social equity issue. Educational opportunity. Well, everybody should be able to get an A+ education. Well, really fantastic education. I agree. And the reality is we have a public school system, and some public schools are better than other public schools. And you can go to whichever one is in your district. And maybe we can work on some things politically to change it to where you can go to any of them that you want to if you can get them there, right? There's some schools that have even done that in the past. That's not brand new. That being said, educational opportunity is, we're calling it an equity issue. It's about fairness. But how do you create that in a complex culture? If that's your issue, take it up. Like, I'm all for it. Let's move on to question number 4. Are you superior than someone who is woke? Are you more? Are you better? Are you greater? Are you bigger and stronger or whatever? Are you more than someone who is woke? Now, if you are saying to yourself, as you're listening to me, probably driving in your car, yeah, I'm better than them. Here comes that metaphorical therapeutic slap upside the head. The simple act of acknowledging that superiority is part of the game that's being played should humble you. It should. Because the moment you think you're superior, it becomes more about might being right. I'm smarter, I'm stronger, I'm faster, I'm this, I'm that. And yes, you have gifts and you are unique, and you should use those gifts for good things. But the moment you think you are so gifted that you are superior to somebody because of race or sex or gender or whatever it is you want to fill in the blank with, you're venturing down a narcissistic path. That's a mental health issue. And that's a dangerous mental health issue, because then you can only associate with other superior people. And you couldn't find your way into serving somebody who's not like you. And that's dangerous, because then children get forgotten, because I can't serve their children. Slavery makes its way back. Us and them, us and them. Nations fall because of this kind of crap. Question number 5. Do you want to unite or divide people? Do you want to unite or divide people? If you want division, you are choosing to act outside of our nature. It is outside of our nature. Our natural tendency is to be in relationship with, to connect, to find those commonalities and look out and protect each other from our deficiencies. That is our natural tendency. The human tendency is to be in relationship. If you want unity, is being woke the conversation that you want to approach in the way that you're approaching it? Is that going to create unity? When you say, I'm anti-woke, is that going to create unity? No. I mean, it's pretty clear. The answer is no. There's my 5 questions for those of you who are going against the woke ideology that I really encourage you to process. Now I want to talk to those of you who are racist. I want to start with, I don't care what color you are. I don't. If you're racist, you're racist. If you're white and you're racist, you're racist. If you're black and you're racist, it's not reverse racism, it's racism. If you're brown and you're racist, it's racism. It doesn't matter. If you're racist, you're racist. Now, I know some of you be like, I can't be racist because I'm blah, blah, blah. No, false, wrong. Wake up. That is not woke. I also want you to hear this if you're racist. You're not a victim. You are not a victim. If you accept that you are a victim, I cannot help you. I can't. If you take on the mentality of being a victim, that's a personal choice. You are worth more than that. And you are blind. I'm sorry, you're just blind. And you need to open your eyes. That was a whole idea behind the woke movement in its originality. Wake up. Don't be blind. Don't be naive. Don't be foolish. Racism can go any direction. You have given away your identity if you're playing the victim. You have given away your identity to people who are mean and don't care about you. And I only have one question for you. One. How would the world look if you were not pretending to be superior? I don't have all the answers, folks. The more I learn, the more I know I have to learn. But I ask that you join the conversation that I'm inviting you to right now. Join the conversation. You're going to have answers that I don't have. And I'm going to have answers that you don't have. Let's come to the table and let's have a reasonable, healthy conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Take a look at the details of our podcast for links to our website and other helpful information.